Hello, hello, can you hear me? Yes, good. All right. Near-death experience. Just by curiosity, did anybody here ever had a near-death experience? Larry?
Yes.
Have you had that? You did, right? Okay, I know because he told me once that he actually is not afraid of the death because he's actually had a near-death experience before, and he's actually saying, I can't wait to go back. That's what he keeps, telling the stories. But it's a real, it's a real thing, near-death experience, so real that science can help it, and they always wanted to. They have to now investigate what's going on. A few of the researchers that are huge on death experience are doctors, pediatrician, people that actually seeing this phenomenon happen so many times that they go ahead and they said, okay, there is something over there. There's something else going on. And of course, it happens for the longest time ever. But right now, what is wonderful about the technology, it's that you can actually report your near-death experience from people that actually have the to universities like the University of Virginia. They're doing a research on near-death experience, and there's two ways that they do it. One of the ways is like that you answer a questionnaire, and this questionnaire, you contact them when you have one of these, and they send you a secret questionnaire, and you fill it up with your experience, with the detail. And what they do is they compare, and then they go to the point of verification to see if that is really true or not. And they are finding some amazing things by actually researching near-death experience. Now, this is not something that started right now. You have doctors that have been researching this since the 80s, and there were so many books about this, so many books that you read, and then you go, wow, how come people even doubt the spirit or their life goes on after that, just by going and watching people telling what happened to them, and it's not one, it's not two, it's not three, there are thousands of people that had the same phenomenon, okay? And that's what we're going to do it today. So let's go ahead and see what is that they're telling us that the NDE is. Near-death experience are intensely vivid and often life-transforming experiences. Okay, please pay attention to the word experience, because nothing that you experience, you're not going to be able to say that it's right or wrong, that it's real or not real. That's why most of the people today in spirituality, there are almost 100% of the people who tell you, search for the experience of spirituality. Because when you experience spirituality, then you're going to say that it's true or not. You can listen to 1,000 speech about spirituality. You can watch 1,000 videos about spirituality. It's completely different than when you have an experience with spirituality. And it's not an experience that someone else had it, because that's not valid. It's the experience that you had with spirituality. And there is a lot of things about spirituality today. And I particularly think that the word that kind of being misused lately, what is spirituality? Is it really what you know? Is it really what you study only? Okay, so to me, the way that I see spirituality today is about you being able to experience something beyond matter, beyond this, that you can transcend the body. You can transcend and experience something that is completely different than matter. So that is totally possible for every single one of us. But until we actually talk about it, until we actually transform the idea that we have to experience spirituality, that is not only what you know, is what you can experience through using spirituality. For an example, you can use an example of meditation, right? So I heard Cynthia talking about meditation, and I can say, meditation is great, meditation is wonderful, meditation is this. But until I come to her class and I experience that wonderful feeling that what meditation can provide, then I can tell I experienced the benefits of meditation. And then I wanted more, because I wanted to actually experience that wonderful feeling more often. That's what happened to me through meditation, right? At the moment I experienced for the first time the wonderful feeling of not thinking and be present 100%, I was like, my God, I want to do this every day, because I wanted to experience what this can be. And same thing with spirituality. If we wanted to experience spirituality, we can do it right here through the prayer. When we sit here and we watch a palestra, I can come to myself and say, I'm going to experience spirituality. I'm going to experience what this house have. I'm going to experience everything that I can when it comes to transcend the matter. And here is the right place to do it. But because we're so convinced that spirituality is what you know and what we experience, we lose that chance to come over here and actually have a wonderful spiritual experience. That's what the temples are for, to experience spirituality, not only to hear what other people have to say about spirituality. That could actually, you can use that to come in and say, no, I want more and more and more to experience that. But if I only think that it's what I know and what I study without having to put it on practicing, then it's almost a waste of time, almost. Okay, so let's do this, because what happened was this life-transforming experience that people actually had when they go to a near-death experience. Many of which occur under extreme physiological conditions such as trauma, ceasing of brain activity, deep general anesthesia, or cardiac arrest in which no awareness or sensory experience of any kind should be possible according to the prevailing view in neuroscience. So usually those near-death experience happens when a trauma occurs, when your brain activity ceases. Even some people had on a deep general anesthesia. Now, when I went to a general anesthesia, I was like, open my eyes to see if I had any. I had nothing. But I wish I had, but I didn't. So when my husband did the surgery, when he got home, I was like, did you have a? He said, no, I just woke up. And so it doesn't happen to everybody. That's why, we need to make that clear. But under the cardiac arrest, it's very common. Under a trauma, it's very common too, okay? So usually when your body actually dies for a few seconds or longer, we're going to see lots of experience going through a person that is in coma. And then when they come back, they usually tell us this amazing experience that they had. It's for us, according to Allan Kardec, it's easy to explain because we are connected to the body via the perispirit, and then when your heart stops, when something happens, you don't have the same brain activity, the tendency of the nature of the spirit is to get out, and then the first is to get out. So that's why when this condition happens, the soul live an experience. And the other thing that we have to remember too is that if you go to a general anesthesia, that doesn't mean that you didn't leave the body and went to live an experience. That could happen. Same thing with the dreams. But the memory, when you come back, you just don't remember anything. And those people actually remember. So there is a few things that it may, what they say, and I want to tell you this, not right now, but the slide right after, it's according to researchers, and this is a few points that the researcher actually, they found that are very common, okay? Other people might have different sensation, but usually the feeling very comfortable and free of pain. So, if the person has any type of disease, they might feel comfortable and free of pain when they have this experience. Another thing is a sensation of leaving the body, sometimes being able to see the physical body while floating above it. That's another thing that people actually come back and tell us. The mind functioning more clear and more rapidly than us. This is interesting, right? The mind function more clearly. A sensation of being drawn into a tunnel or darkness. Okay. Everybody thinks that near that experience, it is a good experience. It's not. They found out that it's not. People talk about the good experience more often than the bad ones. Okay? A sense of overwhelming peace, well-being, or absolutely unconditional love. A sense of having access to unlimited knowledge. And a life review or recall of important event in the past. This is kind of, it's a very cool statement because people see their whole lives through seconds. And it's kind of like downloading, the little paper before when you used to download things from the computer that used to go from one body to the other. Yeah, the file. We don't see that anymore, but it's a great example that it can actually downloads, to the spiritual body. But people seems to have, and what happens in this moment is that you can actually remember things that you completely forgot about it. On those moments, you can remember things that you actually didn't remember before, but it was recorded into you. It was very quick. It's like you're watching a movie that it's like 2 hours in a few seconds, when everything makes so much sense right there. A preview of future event yet to come. This happens too, very often. And encounters with deceased loved ones or with other beings that may be identified as religious figures. That also, it's very common. Now, why these features are commonly reported, many in the difference from these partners and include other elements. For example, some near-death experience may be frightening or distress rather than peaceful. Okay, this is not me talking. This is from the University of Virginia. Okay, this is this information that I got. It is from the University of Virginia. And you can just go in and go on their webpage and go, they have a research, you click on that and then you put near-death experience and this information will come, okay? I heard a while ago somebody trying to explain near-death experience, saying that how come Allan Kardec usually teach us that according to the life that you have it here, you might have the death differently according to, you know, everyone else's life. But they were trying to explain how come near-death experience, everybody seems to have a wonderful time, and it's not true. Not everybody has. That actually confirms what Kardec is telling us, is teaching us. Okay? It's not always pleasant. Okay? We like to talk about the pleasant one, but it's not always. Okay, so please forgive me for the size of the slides, but this is actually a scientific report, okay, that I brought up to you from the University of Virginia. So we are particularly interested in study this near-death experience that may bear on the question of whenever the mind can function outside the physical body and whenever we may survive bodily death. That's the reason why they are looking for this. They actually want clue and evidence that we can actually survive there's something else, right? We may survive bodily death. I mean, when I read this, I was like, wow, this is so wonderful that people are actually interested in answer that question. And then also that mind can function outside the physical body. Okay? One such a type of experience is so-called vertical NDE, in which experience acquired verifiable information that they could not have obtained by any normal means. For an example, some experiences report seeing events going at the same distant location, such as another room of the hospital. So they're not only seeing what's going on in there, they also see what's going on in other parts of the hospital. How could they, right? Or an experience might meet a deceased loved one who then communicates verifiable information the experience had not known. Other kinds of near-death experience that may bear on the mind-body questions include those in which mental functioning seems to be enhanced despite physiological evidence that the brain is impaired. Okay? So that is pretty cool. Some people, after this experience, they actually, the brains enhance, the capability of the brains enhance after those experience. So what I brought here, it was a case report that it was in this website, on the university website, that a case that they report and they study and they verify. And what they say on this case report is that full neurological recovery from, I'm going to need help, Escherichia coli meningitis associated with near-death experience. The patient is a 54-year-old, otherwise healthy white man, was brought to the emergency department with altered mental state. He had no prior history of neurological disorder or immunological deficiency. So this guy walks in an emergency room, and in the emergency department, he became increasingly confused, agitated, and unresponsive, was intubated for airway protection, and then underwent emergency lumbar puncture. So this was the guy, you know, his wife's. I didn't get everything because the report has so many details, but his wife got him to an emergency room, and he very quickly becomes irresponsibly. So they had to go ahead and intubate him. They did a lot of blood work on him, which is, the report has all the blood works, but we are not doctors, so it didn't help me to bring that the blood pressure was this, the white cell count was this, because it doesn't mean much for us here. But if you're interested, over there they have all the facts, okay? And then over the next 4 days, they remained sedated and intubated with little to no neurological improvement. Então, there's been 4 days, this guy, you know, it's intubated. His pupils remain small but non-reactive, with neck stiffness and pain on flexion. He received sedation with alloperidol, lorazepam, and fentanyl. He was clearly critical will during the first 5 days of his hospitalization, as documented in this medical records and supplementary documentation from and any discussion with the consulting neurologist. In addition, the infection disease specialist consultant on this case noted that despite his aggressive antibiotic treatment, his symptoms profile and extended coma suggest a mortality rate over 97%. Okay, this guy was in bad shape, really, really bad shape. And usually 97% of the people that are in this condition dies, okay? Or like they say, when they come back, if they come back, they will come back with problems. During this period, his CGC scores between 6 and 7, indicating severe brain impairment. Okay, severe. This is a 54-year-old male, okay? So what happens then? This was, 4 days that this has been going on. And then the patient was extubated in a hospital on day 6. On day 6, he suddenly feels better. He remained awake but appeared confused. So he woke up. On the hospital, day 7, he appeared dramatically improved. On a day 7. Recognizing family and colleagues, but repeatedly asked the same question about his illness, suggesting impair of the short-term memory. So in this day, they actually bring him down to he's not in the ICU any longer. So he got better and he was recovering in a hospital. The only thing that the doctors thought, it was like, wow, how amazing this guy is not talking, is not recognizing his family, but he seems to repeat things, but that's all. Now, imagine when you come back from this blood results and test results that tell you that your brain, there is something impaired when your brain, there's something wrong when your brain. And then all of a sudden you wake. Okay? And then the reports continue saying that on hospital day 9, after his recovery, because he's not in ICU any longer, okay, he's in a regular room now, the patient reported that he had a near-death experience, including awkward description of events that he claimed to have perceived from a visual perspective outside of his physical body. For an example, he reported to his family and to his physician having seen specific individuals who were not family members praying around his bed in the ICU. An event that had occurred on day 5 while he was in a deep coma. This event, which was corroborated by his family and by the hospital staff, was unlikely to have been an informed guest, as visitor other than family was not permitted to visit the ICU. Based on the details of the event that he actually described having observed during his coma, his near-death experience can be placed between hospital days 1 and 5. Only those 5 days, his CG score charted twice a day range between 6 and 7, indicating that brain impairment. So how come he's seeing people praying around his bed? And then they were saying that it was not them because, only family member was because he did not recognize the people that were praying for him around his bed. And this is one, the GCS scores was 6 or 7, so it's impossible, okay, that he's seeing this on the regular awareness, né? And then this is what happened 2 months later. At his follow-up visit with a neurologist, his doctor reported that although at the time of his hospitalization, the patient had a severe case of cholimeningitis and was near death, with a CS glucose of 1, since that episode he had made a complete and remarkable recovery without any residue neurological issues. Okay? So let's go into, because I'm taking this from this report. What I did is I just copy and paste part of this report so I can tell you exactly what it is. And then this is pretty awesome. He described that his near-death experience as beginning in a coarse, murky realm. Look how interesting that is. From which he was pulled by a slowly spinning white light of a great clarity. So he was in this realm that it was murky and dark. He was there. And then all of a sudden he was pulled by slowly spinning white light of great clarity associated with the musical melody into an outer valley, an ultra-real valley, filled with lights and colors beyond the normal visual spectrum, in which he seemed to have nobody, but existed as a speck of awareness. Okay? So imagine this. You went in this dark realm, and this light comes in, and this involves you, and then it takes you to this place with vivid colors, and it's, completely different than where you were before. Look, and it's not only that. He was met by a young woman who thought of unconditional love and assured a promise he would be taken care of, that he had nothing to fear, that he was completely loved by God. He then entered increasingly refined spiritual realms, finally arriving at an infinite ink blackness, filled to overflowing with divine unconditional love and with brilliant light. That's what his experience. Prominent feature of his account, typical of a near-death experience, included being surrounded by darkness, followed by a bright line, a sensation of existing outside his physical body, subjective transition to an unfamiliar place, reported meeting with a relative, okay? Unknown to him at the time of the experience. We're going to find that later, okay? Reported encounter with a spiritual being, sensation of communicating without words, and retrospective feeling that his experience was healer than his usual experience. That there have been some report of near-death experience in which the patient had been ostensibly led to think during the experience that he or she would have a full recovery. That did not occur to this patient experience. Neither was there any suggestion in this patient experience that he was given a choice to return to life or not. Because a lot of people that go to a near-death experience, some people report that the person said, okay, do you want to come back or not? That didn't happen in this case. In fact, he reported that during his near-death experience, he had no awareness whatsoever of even having had an existence in any realm outside the near-death experience to which to return. So his experience was not like, oh, I'm laying down in a hospital, what do I do? You know, do I go back to the not that? He was just there with his awareness. Okay, he was just there. And what is remarkable, after his recovery, he described to his wife and to others a detailed physical description of the unidentified young woman who had accompanied him in his near-death experience. The patient had been adopted at birth and grew up without knowing his birth family. 4 months after his coma, his birth sister, whom he had met shortly before, sent him a photograph of his other birth sister who had died 10 years earlier. When he saw the picture, the patient was stunned to recognize this full biological sister whom he had never known as the unidentified woman who had accompanied him in his near-death experience. Okay, so that is the verification that we were talking about. The science wants verification. So he told his wife, this woman had dark hair, this woman had this woman had that, and this one, right before, okay? And then when his birth sister sent him a photograph, he goes in and the wife confirms, my God, this is exactly what you said, that she will look like it. So just like, this is all confirmation to Spirit's book, to Spiritism. Because it's exactly what Allan Kardec is telling on the Heaven and Hell book, for an example. Okay? That your parents could help you during this process. That they can actually come and help you in this process. And we're seeing this on the near-death experience. So, To our knowledge, this is the first medical record review of a case of severe meningoencephalitis associated with a near-death experience. This is particularly relevant because of the specific and devastating effect of this disease on the neocortex. Compared with cardiac arrest and other more common conditions associated with the near-death experience. Of interest, other near-death experiences occurring under well-documented medical supervision have been associated with unexpected recovery from condition thought to be irreversible. That's what I want you to guys get it. Okay? Forget about the near-death experience being something to confirm that it can happen or not. This is what we usually look at it, right? What about the healing capabilities of a near-death experience?
The love he received from his sister.
Yeah, that too. But sometimes we love our kid, but if they have a brain damage, we can recover them. You know what I'm saying? Something happened there. That it is actually, he had brain impairs, like the brain was practically damaged. And when he comes back, he's fully recovered on the 6th day. This patient, people, was with a 97 rate possibilities of dying. On a day 6, he's talking. I don't know if you ever had someone in your family that had any type of neuro complications. You will see how difficult it is to walk, how difficult it is to talk, how difficult it is to move when you have some kind of a damage on your brain. Okay? Imagine on a 6th day, to the point that on a 7th day, he was already on the room of the hospital. He was now needed assistance on the ICU. Okay? So what are they telling us? Look at this helmet. This is science. This has nothing to do with Allan Kardec. This is science. Suggesting possible benefit research into possible mechanism by which near-death experience might facilitate healings. Okay? Evolutionary biology have speculated that the senility experience during near-death experience might lower metabolic demands. That's exciting. And conserve energy reserves, enhancing the possibility of recovery of a potentially fatal crisis. And that was what they were being researched since 1987. It is plausible that near-death experience may influence the triggering of immune and inflammatory response to combat bacterial challenge and reduce neurologic sequelae. This is amazing. This is amazing. How come a near-death experience? What is a near-death experience? The body leaves. The soul leaves the body. Okay? And then, of course, he remembers, but he had an experience out of the body. He didn't mention any doctors treating him, nothing like that. He just lived that experience out of body. And then when he come back, he's healed. This is good for us as a spiritist, because the somnambulism are talking about this since the 18th centuries, how healthy it is for the body to have an experience, an out-of-body experience. Because when you come back, something seems to change. And what science saying is that actually this experience is triggering. This is triggering the immune and inflammatory response. If you read this, there was actually more explanation about what happened, but the inflammatory response, we think that inflammation is bad for us, but if you break your foot, for an example, you need the inflammation because the inflammation is an immune response. So when there is inflammation, guess what it means? It means that the immune response or that your body, your immune system is working to heal your food. That's why. But we here, we think that, oh, my food, look at this, it's inflamed. It needs to be inflamed if you broke your food, because that's an immune response. That's why they're saying that it stimulates inflammatory response to the combat of bacteria. Okay? So, what happens, okay, if we actually were able somehow to promote the person to actually leave the body for healing purpose? For healing purpose. Because the researchers here, they are only saying, okay, this can happen, you know, we're seeing. And it's pretty amazing that most of the people that comes back from a near-death experience, they come back healthy. You know, they transform their lives, but affects their health. And all of a sudden, the heart works better. Whatever it is that the problem that you had, it's to be better. Okay? And we can actually, to us, we can actually get that information and say, okay, this is, you know, if you study somnambulism, you're going to say that the magnetizer, what they did is they actually provide this, a near-death experience. Why? Because the person sometimes doesn't even remember what's going on the other side. But if you look at Kardec explaining the somnambulism, he's going to say, when you put certain amount of fluid in any body that helps that person to disconnect, and when you disconnect the spirit from the body, he usually have better vision of what's going on. He can tell the future. He can say what's wrong with their body. They have visions that are amazing. This is well reported on the 18th centuries if you guys want to research about this. And for us, if it's not, and then I'm going to go back to the beginning about the spirituality and the reason why we need to experience spirituality, not only study spirituality. Because if we are able to leave the body consciously, and that's how many reports you guys see in this every day, that people actually leave their bodies, and they do tests on it, put an object on the other room, and the other person goes in and see what's going on, right? So this is, we know this, but did we know that this is actually good for the body? And that's why sometimes we hear Spiritist doctors actually saying to the person, go be a medium because you need it for your own health. Because on a mediumship, you can actually develop this capability to sometimes leave the body. And it's actually good for you. It's good for your health. There was a spiritual doctor that came here, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and I cannot say how many times he recommended people with a lot of pain, people that suffer from different diseases, say, hey, go study, and you need mediumship, because that's the only way you're going to feel better. So sometimes we think that, oh, this has only happened because this person on the previous life did something and now he was born at the medium. Not necessarily, even though that can be the case, but not necessarily. Okay? What he was trying to say is that mediumship experiences can help you to become healthier. And this is exactly what this study is saying. Isn't it cool? Right? Yeah. So it was just another reason. There is so many things. You guys can research on the... I did this a while ago. It's called, I forgot, Lucid Dreaming. Lucid dream is a technique very easy to achieve. Very easy, meaning that a lot of people achieve. That when you go to bed, what it is you go to a meditation state right before you go to bed. So instead of you just falling asleep, you watch yourself falling asleep. And then when you watch yourself falling asleep, you see all of a sudden you have an out-of-body experience. So a lot of people do that because they want to have fun. So when you read people that actually are able to achieve them, a lot of them want to fly, wanted to go to their mother's house. They want to do this and they want to do that, which is fun stuff. But what they really are saying is that when we are under that state, we can actually do whatever we want. So it's not the dreams that it's actually, it seems like we don't control our dreams, right? So sometimes we are dreaming, we have a nightmare, and we have no control of it. We wish to say, oh, I don't want to be here, or whatever. Usually happens to us. When you fall asleep consciously, what happens is you have control. So you do whatever you want to do. I had one of this experience, and to me was amazing. I was doing that, every night. I would stand there and watch myself fall asleep. And it's kind of funny because it's kind of scary, because when you were there, after 20, 25 minutes, there were also, if you like that, there was also YouTube audios or videos that can actually induce you to the state of sleeping, consciously. So I was there, and it's funny because the sensation on your body after 25 or 30 minutes, I'm not sure exactly how long after, it freaks you out. Because you want it to move, your body, because you go, oh my God, because you feel like a stone, like you were there and you can't move, and your body wants to move. But then if you are able to pass that, which is not very easily, because you have tingling sensation, you start shaking a little bit, of course your body is moving, your soul, it's moving. And just to give you, it's not like it's moving, but your perispirit is expanding, so you actually feel the shaking of that. And then if you go through past that, there's I just stand up in bed, and I started to walk. And I was in my room, and I was walking downstairs. And when I was in the stair, I saw my dog, and the dog recognized me. So he started barking. He thought it was something was strange, and he started barking. So I look at him, and I was like, oh my God, he can see me, he can see me. That's what happens on this state. When you say, I'm doing it, I do it, and then you go back to the body on the next minute. So it's what I'm trying to tell you is this: are you going to do this for 5 days and expect these results? No. To be honest with you, I did it for like 3 or 4 months. Every single night I did that to be able to achieve a few experience that I had that one once, and I had another one. But it's possible, and if we can do this, to live a healthier life, why not? Because we always thought of doing this as a researcher, not for our own health. And now science is telling us, hey, out-of-body experience, something that happens to you, can actually heal you or cure you. And that's pretty amazing. Okay? So thank you very much. And I will see you guys next Wednesday.